Jake Thompson walked into his Chicago apartment after a long day at work, expecting the usual quiet solitude that had become his birthday ritual. He liked his birthdays simple, no fuss, no surprises, just a moment to breathe in the middle of his busy life, but the moment he opened the door, he sensed something different. The lights were dimmed, soft music filled the room, and a faint scent of vanilla and cinnamon lingered in the air. On the coffee table lay a small note sealed with a heart, and as he picked it up, he recognized the handwriting immediately, Laura. She had been his co-worker for years, someone who knew him in ways few people did, and whose presence always seemed to linger in his thoughts more than he admitted. The note read, "Tonight, forget everything else. Just follow the path I've made for you. L." His heart thumped with a mixture of surprise and curiosity as he noticed a trail of rose petals leading to the balcony. Outside, the city lights sparkled like stars, and there she was, Laura, smiling nervously, the flickering city below framing her face. "Happy birthday, Jake," she whispered, her voice soft and trembling slightly. His usual calm cracked, replaced by a warmth he hadn't expected, a mixture of anticipation and a sudden, unspoken closeness he could feel even from a few feet away. As he stepped closer, she held up a finger with a playful, yet mysterious look. "Not yet. First, a little journey," she said, handing him a small envelope sealed in wax. Jake's hands shook slightly as he took it, sensing that tonight would be unlike any other birthday he had ever celebrated. The envelope, the petals, the candlelight, the music, and most of all, Laura, everything felt like a carefully crafted moment meant to change him, and perhaps them both, forever. His mind raced with questions, excitement, and a flutter of nerves. As he looked at her, waiting for him to open the envelope, he felt the unmistakable pull of something he had long ignored, a connection deeper than friendship, and a possibility that tonight, everything might change. The city hummed around them, oblivious to the quiet magic unfolding on a small balcony, and Jake realized that this night, this moment, was just the beginning of a journey neither of them could have predicted, yet both had secretly longed for. Marking the start of a birthday he would never forget, Jake carefully opened the envelope Laura had handed him, his fingers slightly trembling with anticipation. Inside were several small, handwritten cards, each one carrying a memory that brought a smile or a flicker of emotion to his face. One card reminded him of the time they had laughed until their stomachs hurt over spilled coffee during a hectic Monday morning at the office. Another captured the quiet evenings they had spent talking about dreams and frustrations, sharing thoughts they had never shared with anyone else. Each card seemed to weave a tapestry of their shared moments, making Jake realize just how much Laura had been part of his life, quietly supporting him, understanding him, and always being there when he needed a friend most. The final card instructed him to meet me where it all began, sending a shiver of anticipation down his spine. That place was the small, cozy coffee shop near their office, where they had spent countless evenings sharing laughter, comforting each other, and forging a bond that had grown stronger over time. Without hesitation, Jake stepped out into the cool night, following the memory-filled path Laura had set for him, the city lights flickering like tiny stars guiding his way. When he arrived, the door to the coffee shop creaked open, and there she was, seated at their usual corner table, a single candle flickering between them. The atmosphere was warm, intimate, and charged with an unspoken tension that made his chest tighten. Laura's eyes met his, soft yet confident, as she whispered, "I wanted tonight to be different. I wanted you to see how much every moment we've shared means to me." Jake felt a surge of emotions he had long kept buried, gratitude, longing, and a gentle, growing awareness of the deeper connection between them. He approached her, each step feeling heavier with meaning than the last, until he reached the table and took her hand in his, the simple touch sending a ripple of warmth through him. Every laugh, every shared secret, every small gesture they had exchanged over the years suddenly made sense, forming a chain of moments that led them here, to a quiet, candlelit corner in the middle of the city. The night air seemed charged with possibility as they sat across from each other, talking in low voices, their conversation flowing effortlessly, carrying memories and emotions that words alone could never fully capture. Jake realized that this evening was more than a celebration of his birthday. it was an acknowledgement of the unspoken bond they had nurtured, a gentle unveiling of feelings that had grown quietly but surely between them. The coffee shop, once just a backdrop to their everyday lives, now felt like a sacred space where past laughter, shared dreams, and unvoiced emotions converged into a single, poignant moment. As Laura's fingers brushed his across the table, Jake felt a quiet thrill, a sense of being seen and understood in a way that transcended friendship. His heart pounded, and he struggled to keep his composure, knowing that the night was unfolding into something neither of them had dared to voice before, yet both had longed for. The candlelight flickered across her face, illuminating a mixture of hope, nervousness, and anticipation, mirroring the emotions swirling within him. The city outside seemed to fade, leaving only the warmth of the coffee shop, the soft music, and the steady, unspoken connection that had always existed between them. Every moment felt electric, yet tender, as if the universe had conspired to bring them here, to this point where past memories and present emotions collided beautifully. Jake's mind raced with everything he wanted to say, yet the words seemed inadequate, so he simply held her hand a little tighter, letting silence speak the feelings he couldn't yet articulate. The cards, the journey, the careful planning, it was all a message, clear and undeniable. Laura cared, deeply and honestly, and tonight was her way of showing it. As they continued to sit there, sharing quiet smiles, soft laughter, and lingering glances, Jake felt the anticipation building, the realization dawning that this night could very well change everything between them. The memories, the intimacy, the soft brush of hands, and the candlelight created an emotional crescendo that left Jake breathless, eager to discover what Laura had planned next, and how their story might finally shift from friendship into something more profound and enduring. The air seemed to hum with expectation, each second stretching, charged with the promise of confession, connection, and perhaps the first real step into a shared future that had been quietly growing in the spaces between their conversations, their laughter, and their long, unnoticed glances. As Laura looked at him, her eyes reflecting the candle's flame, Jake knew that this night, carefully orchestrated and tenderly prepared, was more than a birthday celebration. It was the start of something neither of them could have predicted, yet both had longed for. A night that would linger in their hearts forever, marking the beginning of a love that had quietly blossomed in the spaces of everyday life. Now ready to step into the light, after leaving the coffee shop, Jake and Laura walked through the quiet streets, their hands brushing occasionally, sending sparks of warmth that neither could ignore. The city seemed to fade around them, leaving only the soft glow of streetlights and the rhythm of their footsteps. Laura led him to the nearby park, a place they had visited countless times in the past but never like this, with the night feeling electric and full of possibility. Lanterns hung from the trees, casting a warm, golden light over the path, and the gentle sound of a fountain in the distance created a peaceful, intimate atmosphere. They stopped by the fountain, the same one where they had once shared laughter over a silly coincidence, and Laura turned to face him, her eyes wide with a mixture of nervousness and hope. "Jake," she began, her voice soft but steady, "I've tried to hide it for so long. I told myself I could just be your friend, but I can't anymore. I've wanted to tell you this for months. I love you." Jake felt his chest tighten, and a rush of emotion surged through him, leaving him momentarily speechless. All the subtle moments, the quiet glances, the laughter, the support she had always given, everything suddenly fell into place, and he realized that his own feelings mirrored hers more than he had admitted even to himself. He reached for her hands, holding them gently, his fingers intertwining with hers as he struggled to find words that could capture the depth of what he felt. "Laura. I feel the same," he whispered, his voice catching in his throat, a mix of relief, joy, and longing. The tension between them melted as they stood close, their breaths mingling in the cool night air, hearts beating fast in unison. The park, which had once been just a backdrop to casual walks and quiet conversations, now felt alive with their unspoken emotions, every shadow and beam of light adding to the intensity of the moment. They laughed softly, a mixture of nerves and happiness, realizing that years of friendship and silent yearning had led them to this instant, a moment of perfect understanding and connection. Laura rested her head on Jake's shoulder, and he felt a wave of warmth and belonging, a sense of peace he had never experienced before. The world around them seemed to pause, leaving only the two of them in a bubble of tender intimacy and shared vulnerability. Every laugh, every whispered word, every lingering glance became a thread weaving them closer together, a quiet acknowledgement of a bond that had been growing slowly but surely. They spoke of memories, dreams, and the small moments that had brought them here, their voices low, gentle, and full of emotion. The fountain's soft gurgle, the rustle of leaves in the breeze, and the distant hum of the city created a perfect soundtrack for a confession that had waited too long. Jake realized that love could be patient and quiet, growing in the spaces between ordinary days and unspoken words, and now it had finally found its voice. Laura's eyes searched his, seeking reassurance, and he responded with a warmth that mirrored her own, holding her a little closer as if to say everything he hadn't been able to before. The park became a sanctuary where time seemed to stretch, allowing them to savor the moment, the connection, and the realization that this was just the beginning of something extraordinary. The night carried a promise, unspoken but understood, that their relationship had shifted irrevocably, that friendship had blossomed into love, and that the memories of tonight would stay with them forever. They lingered there, hands clasped, hearts open, every glance and touch reinforcing the truth they had both felt but had hesitated to voice. The magic of the night, the lanterns, the soft fountain, the city's distant lights, and the quiet intimacy between them, created an atmosphere of profound emotional resonance. It was a moment that would define them, a turning point where vulnerability met courage, and desire met understanding. Jake felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the journey that had led him here, for the years of friendship, the shared laughter, the comforting presence of Laura, and the patience that had allowed love to grow naturally. As they walked slowly through the park, still hand in hand, Jake understood that some confessions could change everything, that love that had been waiting quietly could bloom suddenly and beautifully, and that this birthday night, which had started as ordinary, had transformed into the beginning of a lifelong connection. Built on trust, understanding, and the courage to finally speak the heart's truth. As Jake and Laura lingered by the fountain, savoring the quiet intimacy of their newly confessed feelings, a soft chorus of voices suddenly echoed through the park. From behind a cluster of trees, friends, family, and even a few coworkers emerged, holding balloons, sparklers, and a birthday cake with flickering candles, their laughter and cheers breaking the gentle stillness of the night. Surprise! They all shouted in unison, and Jake felt a rush of emotion so strong he nearly laughed and cried at the same time. The carefully orchestrated evening that Laura had planned for him had unfolded perfectly, first the private, emotional journey through their memories, and now this joyful, heartwarming celebration with everyone who mattered to him. He looked at Laura, whose eyes sparkled with delight and satisfaction, knowing she had orchestrated every detail with love and thoughtfulness. The cake was brought forward, the candles reflecting in Jake's eyes, and he couldn't help but feel overwhelmed by the care and attention that had gone into the night. Laura reached for his hand, giving it a gentle squeeze, and whispered, "I wanted to give you something you'd never forget. I didn't just want to celebrate your birthday. I wanted to celebrate us." Jake's chest swelled with emotion, realizing the depth of her gesture. The night had grown from a quiet, intimate moment into a full celebration of love, friendship, and connection, and he felt a profound sense of joy and belonging that went beyond any birthday he had ever experienced. As everyone sang and clapped, Jake felt the weight of loneliness he had carried for years lift, replaced by warmth, laughter, and an overwhelming sense of being cherished. Laura stood beside him, radiant, her presence a comforting and exhilarating anchor in the midst of the lively celebration. They blew out the candles together, the flickering flames illuminating the smiles of their friends and loved ones, and in that moment, Jake realized that life's most memorable nights were not about gifts or extravagance but about heartfelt connection and the courage to embrace love when it appears. After the singing and cake, friends mingled and shared stories, but Jake and Laura quietly drifted to a nearby bench, the city lights reflecting off the river, their hands intertwined. The night air was cool, yet the warmth between them felt like fire, steady and comforting. They spoke softly, reflecting on the journey that had brought them here, from casual friendship to unspoken longing, and now to a love that felt real, strong, and undeniable. Each word, each touch, reinforced the bond that had been building for years, and Jake felt a profound gratitude for Laura's patience, her courage, and her unwavering understanding of his heart. He realized that tonight had been more than a birthday. It had been a turning point, a beautiful unveiling of emotions and memories that had always existed, now fully acknowledged and shared. The city around them seemed to fade, leaving only the gentle hum of life, the twinkling lights, and the intimate cocoon they had created together. Laura rested her head lightly on his shoulder, and Jake felt a sense of peace and completeness he had never known before, a quiet knowledge that this night would live in their hearts forever. Every glance, every laugh, and every gentle squeeze of the hand reinforced the truth they had both discovered, that love can grow quietly, patiently, and beautifully, and when it is ready, it can transform ordinary moments into memories that last a lifetime. As the crowd slowly dispersed, leaving them alone under the stars, Jake knew that this birthday night would be remembered not just for the surprises, the cake, or the laughter, but for the profound emotional shift that had taken place between them, the opening of hearts, and the start of a new chapter filled with hope, trust, and a deep, enduring love. Walking home hand in hand, their steps light and hearts full, Jake realized he had been given a gift far greater than anything wrapped in paper, a night that perfectly blended joy, romance, intimacy, and friendship into a memory he would cherish forever, a night that would always remind him that love, when nurtured and recognized, could turn even a simple birthday into a life-changing, unforgettable experience.